coming off some brutal losses.
Oh, your soul has been sucked out of you. He had back-to-back soul suckings. And I don't know about you, but when I got 2 soul suckings and a hooker on Saturday night, I ain't fighting well.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Aquagon. This is Whamma Cage Betting, not MMA, formerly known as MMA. I'm Stuart Steel Cage.
I'm Whamma Dave.
And we got a lot to unpack on this card, a bevy of fights to cover with you, probably more than we typically do. A big shout out, though. I think we ended up with 1,800, just north or just south of 1,800, maybe.
Oh, huge show last week.
Huge show. So we appreciate everyone that tuned in. Please, though, if you come and you watch us, like and subscribe. Last I checked, it does not cost any Tango Dinero to hit the subscribe button or the like button.
Yeah, don't only like and subscribe. I want you to unsubscribe to all those other guys that you've been watching, giving you bad picks on the UFC as well. Beanie Guy.
Yeah, he's done. Here's the deal. A couple of ground rules. I think we need to recover some things. We don't go over every fight on the card. We go over the ones that we physically think are the best betting and the ones that we're going to bet ourselves. Now, listen, if you bet with us, you've probably made quite a bit of cash. I'm not asking you to peel off your 401k to do this, but real talk, if you watched our previous shows, including the last one, we gave you my lock of the week, Hannah Goldie, dog.
Yeah, opened up with a win. We closed out the night with Anthony Smith. That was a big win. I mean, he looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, I will say this. You used to be the pontiff of women's MMA prognostics.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to pass that loincloth over to me, baby, after that one.
Snipping on my heels on that one. Hannah Gold, you were all over that one.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Now, you may be asking yourselves, why am I wearing this hat and why does he look like a cross between Boy George and Freddie Mercury? We don't know. We don't know.
UFC 266, that's why.
Maybe that's why. In any case, don't let the clothing fool you. The bets are real. So we're going to get right into it with this one. So I want to kind of start off right where I left off. We are on the prelims. We got, and it's going to be the female fights, which you do like the female fights.
Female fights are good.
And it's going to be our first dog, or at least my first dog pick. We will get your take, and it's going to be Roxanne, Modafferi, and Taliyah Santos. Sorry if I got the name right. We still are working on the names sometimes on these tongue twisters, but the dialogue will be there. Now, at the end of the day, this is a heavy underdog. Right now, Roxanne, you can get her at plus 300, and Taliyah coming in at negative 400. Okay, I think when you break this down from start to finish, the main reason I like this one is the line.
Oh yeah,
Roxanne is like that bug you just can't get off your body. Promise you that. I think she fights well for the card. Now, could her volume be more? Yes. Does she get into trouble? Yes, but she's extremely, extremely durable.
Oh, yeah.
And I love her grappling. And I think when you're getting plus 300, sprinkle it in a couple of parlays or hit her on the straight, just see what happens with it. I mean, that's my opinion on this.
I mean, I think that's going to be the story the whole night tonight is where the value is on some of these bets. Now, is every underdog hit that we give you like this going to pay out? Maybe not. But once one or two of them does, that's where you're going to get the value of betting on these people. And Roxanne, I feel like she's like that kind of, like when you're picking on your sister and you're kind of beating her up, and then all of a sudden she hits you with some Hulk power, and then you're like, where the hell did that come from? You got Santos over here looking like she's jacked and tanned, ready to just whip some ass on the Jersey Shore, and Roxanne's going to come in there looking like probably with her Goku hair on and whips her ass just out of nowhere. I mean, a great line, almost 3-1 odds on this one. I mean, if you win this fight, you're free rolling for a while.
A couple of interesting things to point out. Now, it should be of note, Santos has won 2 over last 3. Modafferi, not such a good round. She goes loss, win, loss, win, loss. That would equate to, 2 out of her last 5. Record of 4-6 losing record. But the thing is 66% of the time she's going to a decision, which means she's willing to go the distance with you. I think she's well, primed for that. And again, it's all going to circle back to the same thing. She's very capable. She has good jiu-jitsu. She's very sturdy. Yeah. You're going to give me 300. I'll take the 300, and I'm going to take Modafferi on this one. You can put that one in the bank.
I like it.
We're going to go ahead and move on up. This one here, and kind of to what my co-host Dave was saying, there's some interesting things about a couple of these fights. Not the easiest card to diagnose, I will admit that. But there is some background information and some things that I think really play a role in who I'm picking. So this next one, we all know Nick Diaz is going to be on there. We are going to diagnose that fight later. But his boy, Martin Sano, is on this card fighting Matthew Semelsberger. Now, the only reason, and you probably heard this take quite a few times, so I'm not saying that this is breaking news by any means, but the only reason that Sano's even on this card, I think Nick Diaz had this written into the contract. It's his boy, the Diaz brothers. They're very loyal to those who are loyal to them. They're sparring partners, things of that nature, and I think that plays a big role in it. And he's walking into the storm here. Now, Matthew coming in at negative 450, Martin at plus 330. Not a whole lot of value there, but I think this is a free roll. Just put your money on it. You're going to get your money back, albeit you're going to pay a ton of juice to do it. But, it is what it is. I just don't see any path to victory for Santos. I mean, he's lost all of his fights in the UFC so far. Usually you don't. That's kind of why I got the take. Like, usually you don't see them come back. I would imagine that Nate had that penciled in. Yeah. As far as everything else goes, you're giving up the height, you're giving up the reach. There's just not really an angle. Maybe he's durable, fighting with the Diaz brothers. They tend to be able to go deep into the round, but I think it's just going to be a punching bag, of sorts, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see it going any other way. I mean, really, there's nothing on this guy to really even break down.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just one of those things. It's kind of like, the surroundings of the fight. You take this, if you want to get a better line on it, sprinkle it in a couple of your, your parlays. I think this is a brilliant DraftKings pickup in your lineup because it's going to be for sure. I think it will be a finish, even though I just said that Santos has potential to go the distance. That doesn't mean that I think that's going to be the outcome. So that's kind of where I am on that one. And like you said, I don't think that there's a whole lot of bold takes to go with this one.
Yeah, interesting one.
So this is a pretty big one on the card. He was actually the last seen being a co-main. Chandler basically took his fucking head off.
Yeah.
We have Dan Hooker versus Nassarak Haqparast.
That's pretty good, man.
You think that's good?
Yeah. I'm going to call him Nassarak because that's easier for me to say.
Nassarak sounds good to me. Well, we got plus 120 for Nassarak and negative 150 for Mr. Hooker. Now, this is the optics of this one. Hooker didn't know that he was getting his visa to even fight this one, which makes you think a couple of things. How hard was he training? Was he expecting the fight? He actually went to the internet to get the visa, had the Twitter, kind of pump it and, push things into motion for him. Now he's getting it. He's going to be getting on the plane. I think they have only hours for him to make weight.
Right.
And I want you to think about something. Think about that last time. I mean, he's coming from New Zealand. Think if you flew to New Zealand and back, jet lag. I mean, where you're going to be fighting. And you get off that plane. How do you feel?
Yeah.
You're jet lagged. You're sleeping the whole fucking day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't prepare for this fight properly.
Yeah,
and then your nutrition's
down, your cut and weight, everything's going to be bad on that.
Exactly. Fight, right? And then what do you like to say about the fighters that coming off some brutal losses?
Oh, your soul has been sucked out of you. He had back-to-back soul suckings. And I don't know about you, but when I got 2 soul suckings and a Hooker on Saturday night, I ain't fighting well.
And Hooker has lost his last 2, where, Nassarak, he's won his last 2. In fact, he's won 4 out of his last 5 with 1 loss sprinkled in the middle there. I just think the only reason that Hooker is a favorite is by name alone. And when you talk about getting the soul sucked out of you, this matters. Anybody that's been in any form of MMA, martial arts of any sorts, when you take a lot of punishment, it sticks in the back of your head. And you see people go on this downward spiral, and I can't believe Dan took this fight. I'm actually shocked that he's choosing to do this. I don't think it's a good career move for him. If this was all things being equal, I would be on the Hooker side all day. But this is a serious situation that I just think you can't overlook. And on the other side, Nassarak, he recently lost his mother. Also a big situation of note, but I think one kind of plays a role into, like you said, your nutrition, your ability to cut weight. How ready are you for the fight? The other one definitely could affect you mentally, but it could affect you in a good way too.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean motivated.
Motivation.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to lose. This one's for my mom. You see it across all sports. People, I remember when Brett Favre played the day that his dad died, and he had one of his best football games. Now, am I comparing him to Brett Favre? No, I'm comparing the situation to Brett Favre's situation. But again, it's a tale of two stories. But for me, give me again the dog money.
Yeah, value. I mean, everything's lining up for Dan Hooker not to perform 100%. And then you're taking another guy that's going to get in the cage with you and give it everything he's got to win this fight. Give me dog money all day on this one. I'm taking Nassarak.
Okay. Now, we didn't really discuss this one previously, but I think it's worth it. It's a big name fight. I just want to see if you have a take on it. We have Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. Who are you thinking on this?
Now, this one's a really hard one for me. I always got Jessica Andrade as my 1-2 top contender in that division, and I really won't pick anyone besides maybe Rose or Weili, when she's fighting them. But, a lot of weird things have come up lately with Jessica Andrade where, she's showing a little monkey on the internet. And if she goes the way of Paige Van Zant and, Joanna Champion and starts thinking about putting some balloons in her chest and putting on some makeup and growing out her hair, I'm going to be on the other side of her in a lot of these fights. So if this is a game time decision for me, if she comes in looking serious and ready to fight weigh-ins and doesn't have any problem with weight, I'll stick with Andrade. But, Cynthia, she's a little fighter. I mean, I don't think she's that good, but if she can come in focused and Andrade is not, I would take her. But that's a real game time decision for me.
The OnlyFans accounts have done us a pretty good justice considering as far as picking fighters, by the way. I should preface that up front, but I didn't, so now I'm doing it now. Last week, Hannah Goldie, big thing. I think what I like on this fight is the under, and I'm going to give you a nice little stat here. Each of Jessica Andrade's last 4 UFC fights, the favorite have failed to go the distance as a favorite. Now, Jessica coming in at a negative 278, I think this is, a big thing. She's also won 7 of her last 8 UFC fights against older orthodox opponents. Again, likely story here. So I think, if I had to choose a side, I would say Jessica. I'm not a fan at the price that you're paying. I'm not trying to lay that much chalk. But I do like the under. I do see it getting finished. Whether she gets caught on something or she finished her, I don't see it going the distance. So I would say take the under on this one would be my hot take.
Under on this one. I'd like to know too, Cynthia's been training on Team Alpha Male, and they have been hot lately, transforming people's careers.
They really have.
So that's a lot of things, like I said, man, if Jessica Andrade looks off at all at these weigh-ins or in the press conference, I'm going to hammer all over Cynthia.
Yeah, I like that too. All right, moving on. We have, and I believe we are on the opposite end on this one, so it's going to be interesting. We have Curtis Blaydes versus Rozenstruik. Who do you have?
Hot take on this one. I'm looking at this one. It seems like each of them, in their previous fight that they lost, had lost to a better version of what the other guy is. So Curtis Blaydes lost to Derek Lewis on a KO. So, Rozenstruik's like a power stand-up guy. I feel like Derek Lewis may be a better version of that. Rozenstruik lost to Cyril Gahn, which is like a wrestler hybrid striker, a better version of Curtis Blaydes. So, man, at this one, they had a lot of the same wins. I got them real even in this fight. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite on this one. That's why I have to go with the underdog money, plus 250 with Rozenstruik.
All right, I'm on the opposite end of you. Curtis Blaydes coming in at negative 315. Rozenstruik at negative 186. Or I'm sorry, coming in at, what is he? He's the
320?
Negative or plus 320. Sorry, I got it all twisted there. This is going to be for me an example. When you go in there, I think this is as if you saw a dead guy with 10 bullet holes in him, and Blaydes is going to come in and put the 11th one in there. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be an easy night in the office. 8 of Rozenstruik's last 9 pro MMA fights have failed to go the distance. So there's a little bit of a test of how long he's willing to go. I think he's kind of a, if I don't catch you early, it might be trouble. The favorite has won in each of Rozenstruik's last 7 UFC fights. Now, one of the things that I like about this, Blaydes, what he didn't do against Derek Lewis that I think he's going to make the adjustment in this fight is he didn't land the takedowns. Now, he averages 6.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he completes that about 53% of the time. He is very good at wrestling. And just a side note, if you're a DraftKings player, the wrestling, grappling, takedowns, that's going to score you the most points, assuming it doesn't go to the finish, more than a striker ever could as far as volume is concerned. So he's a very, very, very good DraftKings pickup for you, too. Probably going to have to pay a little bit of the juice on that. I haven't looked at his price. And when you look at Rozenstruik's opponents, okay, his previous fights. You have that up here on Tapology.
Mm-hmm.
One was Glover Teixeira, right?
No.
Okay, we have Gane. Oh, Junior Dos Santos. And who was the other one? Well, those two, there was a third one that are all good. They, like you said, kind of common opponents. They were all able to take him down. I think Curtis Blaydes, his wrestling is better than them all. And at the end of the day, when you look at that, if he takes him down, Rozenstruik has nothing. He has nothing. I think Blaydes can somewhat hold his own on the feet as well. I think he mixes and matches things pretty, up pretty good, and he kind of goes for that chain wrestling that you love to see. The key is, though, to your point, he shows that he could be chinny. Now, Derek Lewis definitely has the hands of death. If he puts them on you clean, you're toast. And I would say that, Rozenstruik also has that kind of power. But I think that, Blaydes, I think he wanted to trade with Lewis a little bit too much, and I think that taught him a valuable lesson. Don't like the layoff here. I'm going to be honest, but I still think that it's a good value pick for you to take. So I'm going to go, well, you're getting the value, but I'm going to go with Blaydes. I like them in both DraftKings. I like them sprinkled in on a couple of parlays. I'll probably be hammering them all weekend. Maybe even my lock of the night, potentially.
Lock of the night for Curtis Blaydes. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I was seeing when I was watching, I know it was a 5-round fight with Volkov. But man, at the end of that fight, when he was trying to do these takedowns, he was looking real sloppy. And Volkov just didn't have the power to punish him like I think Rozenstruik's going to have the power to punish him. So, every round starts out on the feet. Third round, Blaydes is feeling tired. That's why I'm hoping he can get Rozenstruik can get that punch in and really knock the lights out. If it goes to decision, I got Blaydes. Obviously, probably going to win that decision. But I'm hoping Rozenstruik with the knockout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's decision, and I'd be interested to see if you're on the Rozenstruik side. I would just take him on the knockout. You know what I mean? Right? What else is he going to do? He's not going to submit him. He's not going to, like you said, if he goes the distance, that means he wasn't landing the big shots,
right?
Because if he does, I think that Blaydes is toast. So,
right.
I think that one is, it's going to be an interesting one. I guess we'll be watching that one, live throughout. But I think we'll see what happens. If you choose me or you choose Dave, put it in the comments too. If you're watching this shit, you might as well comment, see what happens. We'll respond. Guaranteed. Moving on. I think this one's probably one of the more exciting, flashy fights. We have Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. Pretty much a pick 'em at this point, both coming in at -113. I think you got to state the obvious. And if you've been a long-time follower, I've mentioned that I don't know that how much stock I put in ring rust, whether it be a year, 2 years. Now, 6.5, just south of 7 years, I start to put a little stock into it. 6.5 years of being on the Vegas Strip, drinking, partying, smoking the ganj, whatever it is that the Diaz brothers do. I think it's that same take. And these guys, the thing about the Diaz brothers, and, I faded Nate in the last one, worked out for me. Definitely, it wasn't like this hot take. He was a, heavy underdog and everything. But, he comes in, he's smoking weed. And when they fight, they don't fight for things that score good in MMA. They want to just be in that brawl. They want to, get in your head, all these different things. And real talk, if you got my money and you're on my ticket, that's not the shit that I want. That's not the shit I'm going for. Talk about Lawler. Hasn't had the best outings as far as his last couple of fights. In fact, he's lost 4 out of 5, including his last 4. But you have to look at the level of competition. Lawler's been in there. He's been fighting. And I think that matters. He's been training. I think that's extremely important. I think that this is more of like a flashy thing. It's like, getting a WWE fighter in there to fight just to kind of get some views, get some pay-per-view buys. I don't know what the case is. I just don't know what Nick Diaz has in the tank. His younger brother doesn't have much, and he's been somewhat active at least.
Yeah. It's a weird stat I'm just looking at for Nick Diaz. 1 win inside the UFC Octagon his whole career. Would you believe me if I told you that? 9 years, 9 months ago, 1 win. BJ Penn, he beat in the Octagon. All his other wins were in Strikeforce. When he beat Robbie Lawler was in Strikeforce. But listen, I'm a man of the people. These people are tuning in to watch Nick Diaz. Let's tell them why they should bet on the guy. I think he beat up his girlfriend recently in the news. That's a win. So, listen, he's putting on a fight for this guy. These guys, he's smoking weed. He's running triathlons. He's swimming back from fucking Alcatraz. He's going to go out there. He's going to put his hand down, lay down on the mat, taunt him, maybe do a jerk-off motion to him, flip him off, yell Stockton. It's going to be a show. He's going to be in Robbie Lawler's head. Robbie Lawler hasn't won a fight in a long, long time. Nick Diaz is going to just whomp all over this guy. You know he's been in the gym training hard. He's got gas tank for days. They're going 5 rounds to favor Nick. Everything pointing in Nick's direction. All you casuals, just bet on Nick. We'll have some fun.
I do want to throw some caution to the wind here. I'm going to offer you, I don't know that 5 rounds. I do agree that the Diaz brothers do have great gas tanks, but let's not get it twisted. His last 4 fights, 4 of his last 5, I should say, have gone the distance. Lawler can stay in there too. And then you have to ask yourself, who's going to put the more volume out there? I don't think Diaz is going to go out there and land some knockout punch. And even if he's willing to go the distance, I think it's going to be a mirror of what you saw his younger brother go through. Just an absolute ass whooping up and down the cage. I don't think he's ready. I think that he's just cashing checks. Maybe he spent a little too much in Vegas. Who knows? But that's where I'm at with this one.
Sounds good, man. Well, you want to talk about this one?
Are we going to do a tequila bet on this?
On which one?
Well, you got Nick Diaz.
Let's go tequila bet on Rozenstruik Blaydes.
Okay, so you don't feel confident.
I'm for the people with Nick.
You're for the people with Nick.
Yeah, that's me and the people.
But not your wallet.
Not my wallet.
Or your drinking.
Or my drinking. No,
okay.
That's for the people.
Fine, you got it on Blaydes then.
Blaydes. I got Rozenstruik.
Okay. This next one, there's no hot take here. There's no hot take.
Yeah. Maybe
Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. Let's be real. I'll give you the line. -1115. That's a 4-digit number. Versus +650 for Lauren Murphy. If you have the church bells to put that bet on there, God bless you. But I'm just going to be honest. Take the free roll event. Well, I don't even know if it's a free roll at that line, but I'm not paying. I'm just staying away from it. I'll just watch and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's always fun. I like to watch her dance after she wins.
If you're doing a DraftKings, definitely need to save up some salary cap to put her in there because I think this is a finish. If you want an angle on it, maybe you place, not to go the distance. I don't know. But she's won, Shevchenko's won each of her last 7 UFC fights. There's not, she's a Swiss Army knife of things that she can do. There's not really, I think she's, one of the best in MMA pound for pound that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, I just don't see anybody coming up that can compete with her. So until that day, I'm just staying away. Didn't even mean to rhyme there, but
yeah, I mean, Lauren Murphy, it's rude that her camp's even putting her 38-year-old ass in the cage with Shevchenko. It's going to be a tough night in the
It's going to be a tough night for her.
I mean, she's a tough chick. I'm sure she'll do fine, but man, it's hard to beat.
Maybe they'll put on a show. Who knows? And I think that brings us to the main event, which we got things rolling pretty quickly. We wanted to take out some of the extra jargon here to kind of get you the bets that we feel strongly about. So we have the Tough House finale.
Oh yeah,
if you will.
Coaches.
Now, one of my good friends from high school on my wrestling team, Vince Murdoch, was on the Tough House. We love Vince. He was on Team Ortega. And I've looked this up and down, did my studying. I actually looked for angles to sell myself on why Brian Ortega. And, real talk, it's hard to even draw something from it because, we had the tale of 2 fights. He had one where, he got his ass whooped, and then he had one where he did the ass whooping. Which version are we going to get of him? Volkanovski. I mean, the guy is an absolute savage, winner of each of his last 19 pro MMA fights. He is on absolute fire in Fuego. Now, you could argue the Max Holloway fight. I think we were on Max Holloway on that, and we thought we kind of got robbed. I'll admit that. But I want to offer you, again, a little something on the side that I noticed from the Tough House in particular. And this is one of those things like how you do something is how you do everything. And you've seen this on the Tough House, in previous shows where, one coach seems to be dialed in to what's going on, and the other one just doesn't seem to care as much, which I think that translates to other things. At least that's how I'm going to look at this from a betting angle outside of, the other things. But, Ortega's showing up late. Really not giving a shit. He kind of had this chill vibe. Didn't seem like he was working as hard when they would show the practice videos as Volkanovski. Didn't seem as passionate as Volkanovski did. You know what I mean? And you think like the showing up layout, that's just kind of jovial, like it doesn't matter. I think it does matter. You know, you're on the show, you're on the marquee on ESPN. It's a big fucking deal. And when you don't show up to that, are you showing up to your training on time? Are you taking your training seriously? All these questions are up there. Now, you know, and then you say, well, one time you went out and you got mauled. The other time you went out and you did good. Did you focus on that one? Not focus, and maybe we're just cashing a check. Who knows? You see it time in and time out in the UFC. When people just don't have that eye of the tiger, it's very difficult. Almost always, it's an auto fade for me. Now, the line, I think it's, you know, pretty close. We got Brian Ortega at plus 140 at a moderate underdog, and then Alex Volkanovski at negative 177. You know, I do think that if you look at the tools at their disposal, maybe with the jiu-jitsu angle, you got a little more with Ortega. But Volkanovski's volume is just, it's insanity to me. I think he'll go out there, he'll land a couple, you know, he'll be able to land those takedowns too. Now, might be playing with fire when he does it. Who knows? I don't know. What is your take here?
Well, I think
rambling.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you made a mistake because you walked yourself right into a trap. Do you not remember the bulge on this guy's cup when he fought Korean Zombie? Look at this thing. You're going to tell me that Brian Ortega can walk into an octagon with a crotch that's ready to burst off the seams and not beat this man? What does Volkanovski even have? He's got a little bit of defensive boxing, and he's got ground and pound. You're not going to be able to be on the ground and have those arms swinging on Ortega. He is going to triangle choke your ass. He's going to rip your neck up. He's going to do anything he can when you get on the ground to make sure you're not slamming those bombs on him. And that defensive boxing is good against Max Holloway, who's a slick boxer. But this guy, Ortega, he's been putting a lot of time in on his boxing, and he is very unorthodox, and he hits you with those spinning elbows. Volkanovski, he's getting slammed by the Australian government right now. He can't have any training partners in the camp with him. He's on all these kinds of restrictions. He's going across the globe in the pandemic situation that they have over there, which is, my heart goes out to those people. It seems crazy over there. But he has to come in here and win in Vegas when all Ortega has to do is come from California and whip some ass with that big old dick. Give me Ortega with that plus money all day. I think we can need to do another tequila bet on this one because I'm either going to lose all my money or get hammered or something.
I'm with you on the tequila bet. Now, I want to walk you through. Now, is Volkanovski someone that can get walked out of that cage? This is going 5 rounds all day, if anything. If Volkanovski himself doesn't get to finish. Look at this guy's last 5 fights. Holloway again. I know it's the same person, but he fought him fucking twice.
Always a good win. I'm not going to say
Aldo, Chad Mendes, Darren Elkins. These are huge names. Huge. And each one is aging well. Aldo's coming out of his shell.
Aldo's back.
Aldo's really back at it.
When he beat him.
Mendes, this was back in 2018. He did retire, but,
KFC.
He is now in the B. We'll see how that goes for him. He'll probably do good there. Aldo aging like a fine wine. Holloway, I think, still has it. And Volkanovski, again, won his last 19. He's on an absolute rampage at this point. I just don't see, it going the bad way. Now, you could make as far as Ortega goes, I mean, his last few fights have been pretty good as well. Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson. He did lose to Max Holloway pretty bad. Then he came back and beat the Korean Zombie pretty bad. So,
Korean Zombie's top level guy too. I mean, he's a good dude.
I don't know. Korean Zombie's iffy to me. I think he's got very bad defense, and sometimes it's flashy when he's in there. But then again, when you talk about the transition of talent, he's better than when he had to step down in competition. So I don't really know where the place is for him yet. Mm-hmm. I think it's an interesting fight. I think it's going to be a good one.
This is a matchup. I mean, everything's going to be up with this matchup. I mean, two unknowns going at each other in completely different ways. I like it a lot. That's
ton of volume on both sides too. Ton of volume on both sides. If you're a DraftKings, you gotta set at least 2 lineups, have one on each side. On this one,
fun main event.
Yeah, fun main event. Not necessarily my lock of the week on it, but that's where I'm going. On Volkanovski, we have 2 tequila bets. We have Curtis Blaydes, Volkanovski for me. You have Ortega and Rozenstruik.
Yep.
And there it is, my friends. We appreciate all of you. Please like and subscribe. Hopefully next week we will be in the actual Aquagon, hence the name. You probably watch why the fuck they call it the Aquagon. We actually do this show within a hot tub. But right now it's tough as shit getting a contractor out here. I've been on his ass Trust me, either I do it myself by next week. Come hell or high water, we will be in the tub.
In the tub.
That's all, folks. Till next week.